911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. Somehow my microphone got unplugged and it was bizarre, and I don't want it to be too loud. Hold on. So I'm hoping it's not too bad. Welcome to Behind the Crime Door. It's good to have you all here. I see my sweet and loving friend, Real GonZo is in here. So good to see you, my dear. I've missed you. Hey, Mitzi, how are you doing? I am feeling better. I still have a horrific cough, but I'm hoping to get through tonight without any major coughing. Let's hope. So we'll see how that goes. I didn't do too bad the other night. So, hey, Shady Lady, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, James. Hey, Rescue All the Dogs. Hey, Beach Fairy. Hi, Mary Flynn. Hey, VVS. Courtney. How are you? Good to see you. Hey, Barb. Hey, David. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you, GonZo. I am too. Last week was really, really rough. Rough. So I told Jackson he cannot share any more stuff with me. Absolutely, he cannot. No more stuff. He asked me today, did I give you my cold or give you your cold? I was like, yes, you did. So, so how has everybody been? I hope everybody is good. Just a second. Forgot to turn on my light. Got to turn my light on. It gives me some more light in here. So, sorry, guys. I think I bumped it when I was messing, trying to get it hooked back up. So there is, like I said, there's been a lot going on. When I talked to you guys on Saturday night, we went over a lot of stuff that was going on, and we talked a lot about what happened in court with Richard Allen and all kinds of things. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more today because I want to send you all to a good friend of mine, Ruckus. If you guys have not watched Ruckus's channel, you are missing out. He has excellent content on both from Delphi. I am in awe of some of his ability to really just get down to the facts and lay it on the line as it is. He doesn't really play any kind of games with anybody. He just says it like it is, and if you don't like it, then that's just how Ruckus is. And I love that about him because he's so straightforward. Hey Deb, how are you? So good to see you. I am going to post his channel in the chat. So if you guys haven't seen any of Ruckus's information or any of his content, please go watch, subscribe, and like his videos and help him out. His last video that he just put up, I will recommend that everyone watch. This video, it was a live stream that he did 1 day ago. Excuse me. And he talks about Richard Allen and the court situation and the treatment that he's receiving at Westville Correctional. He is amazing about how much of an expert he is. He has worked in the Department of Corrections, and he knows how things go in these prisons and how things are supposed to go. So it's really some good content, and I will let you guys all check it out. I learned a lot of things from watching that live that he did. And wow, is all I can say is we have some really good content out there right now about what's going on here in this case. One of the things that I think we all have to remember as we are watching content, reading articles, and absorbing news interviews and programs and podcasts on this subject of Delphi and the murders, that we are in the midst of a actual court case right now. The police have arrested a suspect. They have this man in custody. The prosecution is building the case. They have a mountain of evidence, I will dare say. And we have to be careful about how we react to other things, because it can hurt the case. Hello, Colette. Thank you so much. So, and we are going to talk tonight about a few things. My very, very good friend and the good friend of the channel, and he will be with me on this channel on Friday night, along with the captain from True Crime Garage and Skip Jensen. I will have all three of them with me this Friday night at 7 p.m. Fig Solves. And Fig put out a new video just a little short time ago, and his video is amazing. We're going to talk about it. If you guys have not seen it, we are going to look at it and we are going to talk about it, because Fig is one of the best minds around this case. He is an amazing critical thinker. And what he does for a living is solve problems. He solves problems for corporations. That's what he does. He goes in at a corporate level and helps solve problems. So one of the things that he's so good at is, hold on one second. One of the things that he's so good at is taking all of the information that's out there about the case and putting it into a order that anyone can understand. He takes the case and he breaks it down, which is what you have to do when you're looking at any kind of a case in whether it be true crime or any kind of a case. You really have to, know where to start, where to go. And he does this very, very well. And I've known this about him for a very long time, but this last video that he just dropped that we're going to watch is absolutely amazing. He does such a good job of laying it all out there about Richard Allen and how Richard Allen incriminated himself, why things happened the way they did in the investigation. Hi, Frank Meister. How are you, my dear? Good to see you. And so I think it's going to help to answer some of the questions as to why. Oh, Lisa, thank you. That's wonderful for you to say. You guys are always so kind. I still feel like I kind of look tired and blah, but you're very, very, very kind of you to say. But yeah, he's taken the case. He's explained to us why there's two sketches. He's explained to us why there was a new direction in 2019, and how Richard Allen plays into all of this. And so just give me 1 second, because I am going to pull the content up. And we're going to watch, the very first thing we're going to do is watch his video, because I think we can get a really good understanding of some things by doing that. So just give me 1 second here. He is something else. I just need to get it up so that I can play it. So, here we go. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. So if you guys have questions, just hang on to them, and we'll see what goes on after we watch this. But now we're going to watch it. And so this is the video from Fig Solves, and we are going, that he just dropped just a short time ago. It's only about 16 minutes, but it's worth it. So here we go.
Has confessed multiple times that he killed Abby Williams and Libby German in February of 2017.
Yeah, McLeland says Richard Allen has admitted 5 or 6 times to killing the girls on the Monon High Bridge almost 6 years ago. Allen's defense attorneys argued the client has made what they referred to as incriminating statements while in prison, but those statements can't be taken seriously due to Allen's declining mental state.
Since the arrest of Richard Allen in October 2022, both the prosecution and the defense have acknowledged that Richard Allen has confessed 5 or 6 times to killing Liberty German and Abigail Williams back in February of 2017. Some of the people that Richard confessed to were medical professionals working for the Indiana Department of Corrections, mental health professionals also working for the Indiana Department of Corrections, and most notably, Richard Allen, while on a recorded phone call with his wife earlier this year, made very incriminating statements admitting to his involvement in the murders of Libby and Abby. When Richard Allen's defense team were made aware of these damning statements, they had to come up with a strategy, and this is what they did. They put out this picture looking to get sympathy, and they're going to start using the excuse that his mental well-being and mental health have gone down the drain. This statement was briefly put up and then taken down, but I was able to snapshot it before it was taken down. It says, attorneys state he is being treated less favorably than a convicted person, appears to be suffering from psychotic symptoms described as schizophrenic and delusional. Remember, this statement was made shortly after the defense discovered all of the damning evidence against Richard Allen. So that's where we're at now. Richard Allen has confessed 5 or 6 times to the murders of Libby and Abby. Now, these murders were committed.
I'm just going to pause it here, because I want to also say, not only did this picture, did they release the photograph of Richard Allen looking, somewhat thinner and gauntly, whatever, in the red jumpsuit. Shortly after that is when they released that picture, is when they started talking about the schizophrenic and delusional stuff. And if you paid attention to what happened on Thursday in court, it was stated in court by the warden that Richard Allen started to deteriorate once he got his case filings. So once the discovery started being shared with him is when he started to go downhill. And to me, that's when he realized that they had him and that he was not going to be going anywhere. And that the whole show that he's been living for 5.5, 6.5 years, where he was living in plain sight, living his life, going to work every day, doing all the things that he was doing, socializing, playing pool, going on vacations with his wife, seeing his daughter get married, all the things that he did prior to his arrest and since the murders of Abby and Libby. He realized once he got those filings, the discovery from the prosecution and what evidence they have against him, he became what I consider a defeated man. He is absolutely defeated. He doesn't want to be here anymore. And that is how I feel. So let's go ahead and continue with Fig.
5 to 6 years ago, and he barely got arrested in October of 2022. So what took so long for Richard Allen to get arrested? I will explain.
Also new tonight, Team 8 is told investigators believe that Richard Allen is the man on the bridge seen in the cell phone video.
Allen also went to police shortly after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Team 8's Richard Essex is working this story for us tonight.
Our sources tell us that Richard Allen had gone to a state conservation officer shortly after the murders. He told the officer that he'd been in the area that day, had even been out on the bridge, but he told the officer that he didn't see anything. Sources tell Team 8 Allen didn't get much attention when he first went to police because investigators may not have believed his story. After 5 years and countless interviews, investigators had become frustrated with the path of the investigation and ordered a review of tips and case files, and that is when Allen became a suspect.
Now, this term unfounded, used in this context, basically means that there's no reason to suggest that Richard Allen was associated with this crime. Now let's look at the timeline of events that happened early on in this investigation. So February 13th, 2017, that's when Libby and Abby were killed. Their bodies were found the next day on February 14th, 2017, around noon. Now, Richard Allen went to Wallman's grocery store on February 14th and spoke to a conservation officer to give a statement. Now, keep in mind, this was before the picture of Bridge Guy was ever made public. So the conservation officer doesn't ask Richard Allen how he was dressed. So when the conservation officer met with Richard Allen that day at the grocery store, this is how the narrative went. Mr. Allen was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember the description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead. However, he did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. I think it's important to point out here that it says potential follow-up information, and it says who were the 3 girls walking in the area of the Freedom Bridge. This shows that the conservation officer was in fact only looking for witnesses, and Richard Allen was considered a witness early on. So Richard Allen met with the conservation officer on February 14th, and he was considered a witness, someone who was there that day but didn't see anything significant. He was basically considered a David Riley type of person.
I think about it a lot.
David Riley replays this day last year quite often.
I was on the trail the day that they were killed.
And did you see anything?
No, I talked to the police twice and gave them DNA and all that stuff. But yeah, I was at the other end of the trail. They were by the bridge, the High Bridge. I was by the Blue Bridge, the Freedom Bridge.
The conversation between Richard Allen and the conservation officer took place on February 14th, 2017, late in the afternoon. Then later on that day, Richard Allen goes to play pool with one of his friends. We'll call him DH. And he lets him know that he spoke to law enforcement earlier in that day. February 15th, 2017. Sergeant Riley does a press conference announcing that they're looking to talk to people who were at the trails that day.
We were asking for anyone to come forward who has information that were either on the Delphi Historic Trail yet there on Monday, especially if they were near the Monon High Bridge, that they might have been seeing somebody out there. They may have taken pictures where somebody might be in that photograph. If they were out there doing that kind of stuff, we need that information. We would love to have pictures of that.
Also on February 15th at 7 p.m., this is when the bridge guy photo is released to the public.
And welcome back to the news at 11 here on RTV6. We are live in Delphi, Indiana, and we want to give you a shot of that picture once again from police. This is the man they are looking for right now. They say he was out on the trails here on Monday around the same time that two teens, Abby Williams, age 13, and Libby German, age 14, were killed out here. They would like to talk to more about that crime. We made it easy for you to share that right now on our social media streams. Much more on Good Morning Indiana with that as well. And
later that night on February 15th, Richard Allen's friend, DH, posted on a Facebook thread that revealed the picture of Bridge Guy, and he stated, in regards to the photo of the man on the bridge, he went to the police. They've released him, and he is not a suspect. He was, of course, referring to Richard Allen, person he spoke to the night before, who let him know that he did do an interview with the conservation officer, went forward to the police. On February 16th, 2017, this was when the first known search warrant was executed. Now, this comes a day after the photo of Bridge Guy was released, meaning they were obviously going after guys who dress like Bridge Guy.
Said hi and he just brushed him off and kept going.
Did they think he was strange, out of place, or?
They said he was, but then again, it could just be a rumor.
They described him dressed in black. Meanwhile, police continued the search for this man. He would have been on the trail the same time as the girls. They say they want to talk to him about what he saw. And last night's search of a Delphi house will not lead to an arrest in this case, police say.
Jim Maxwell was rumored to have been dressed like Bridge Guy the day of February 13th, 2017. Now, keep in mind, Richard Allen talked to law enforcement before the Bridge Guy picture was released, and they didn't know what he was wearing. That's why when he talked to the conservation officer, there was no mention of how Richard Allen was dressed that day. No one knew about Bridge Guy. On February 17th, 2017, WRTV updated their article that first revealed the photo of the Bridge Guy. This time they added, Indiana State Police said there have been a few rumors on Facebook that they have found the man and spoken to him, but officers said this is not true. I find this interesting because it shows early on in the investigation, law enforcement was confused.
Police say tip lines that have been operating have received hundreds of telephone calls.
We're getting subjects that we're looking at to talk to, and we're finding those people are not the person of interest that we're looking for, or that person in the picture. And so that is helping eliminate people, and that's part of the investigation is to try to narrow it down to one or two people that we're looking at. And so right now we haven't got that far yet.
Also, on February 17, 2017, law enforcement was made aware by a witness that they saw a man walking down West 300, was muddy and bloody, and they looked like they were just in a fight. The eventual problem with this sighting is that the muddy and bloody man was not dressed like Bridge Guy. He didn't have a blue jacket or the sweater or hat on. And also, this witness was in a car, so probably didn't get that good of a look at the person walking. It can be assumed that when the witness was driving, they just assumed that this man walking down the road was just some sort of hitchhiker and not Bridge Guy. I believe this person is responsible for the young guy sketch. We'll talk about that here in a few.
Was taken. Now, police aren't saying how they got this photo or why the man in this picture is a suspect, but we'll go ahead and bring up those pictures for you right now. These two grainy photos with a man dressed in jeans and a blue jacket are all police have to go on. They don't have a name or any information on this man. Police want people to realize that they are not just looking here in Delphi.
We are actually expanding out. We want people that they may have seen somebody walking, that may have picked up a hitchhiker, that have seen a hitchhiker around that afternoon of Monday the 13th. You know, when I say we want tips, you know, this person could have hitchhiked in if somebody picked up a hitchhiker that day, if somebody saw somebody walking on the roadway. We're not just focusing on what people saw on the trail.
And if they saw something, maybe it was on the road to Lafayette or Logansport. Police are widening the geographic search.
So there's a lot going on here. So let's do a quick recap. So back on February 14th, after that conservation officer interviewed Richard Allen, it's safe to assume that he just put his name into a group of witnesses because that's what the conservation officer was tasked to do that day, to go talk to witnesses, not to go talk to suspects. They wanted to talk to anyone who might have saw something strange, someone out of place, and also they wanted to talk to anyone who might have taken pictures out there, hoping to get some clues. Also, Richard Allen met with the conservation officer before the bridge guy picture was released. He likely wasn't even aware that Libby took any video of him. 2 photos of bridge guy, Richard Allen, were released the day after Richard Allen came forward. Richard Allen's friend posted that they already talked to the man in the photo, knowing that his friend Richard already talked to law enforcement. And to me, this shows that Richard Allen admitted to his friend that he was bridge guy. Now, let's talk about the reason why there are 2 different sketches of Richard Allen. There were 2 exit witnesses, one here and one here. One witness saw an individual exit via the trails, while the other saw a muddy and bloody guy walking down the road. Law enforcement knew that the 2 exit witnesses couldn't have seen the same person, so they decided to go with the witness that most consistently corroborated the entry witness's sighting and fit the assumed time frame much better. There was a thought early on that the timeline was extremely tight. It actually was just the opposite. This is what sidetracked the case for the first 2 years. Once evidence arose that showed the exit witness's sighting was unfounded or unreliable, they set aside the information and switched gears to the exit witness who saw the muddy and bloody person. This led to the April 2019 press conference and the new information regarding Bridge Guy being local, parking at the CPS building, and also the release of the young guy sketch.
Also, over the course of the Delphi investigation, there were 2 primary sketches of a man police were looking for. They don't look alike. The sketch of the man with the hat came out during the start of the investigation in 2017, and 2 years later, a sketch of a man with curly hair was released. So I had this question.
2 years into the investigation, after we got the initial sketch, we were told to not rely on that sketch anymore, that this was a new sketch that came out that looked completely different than the original. But when we see the mugshot of Richard Allen, he looks mostly like that initial sketch. So why the change 2 years into someone that didn't look anything like the person that we were presented with on Monday?
Well, I'll answer the question in 2 parts. One, isn't that amazing? That he looks a lot like one and a little bit like the other, depending upon the eye of the beholder, right? And I've said all along, those sketches are not photographs. There are reasons that we structurally, and not structurally, but logistically changed the investigative strategy throughout the middle of this in multiple phases. Some were not even recognized, nor did they have to be. But those detectives are going to base what they're going to do based upon what they know. And what they know comes from the people that live in that community and around the world, literally around the world. So I think that was the absolute right decision at the time to do what they did. I've always said that the 2 sketches are simply sketches. They're not photographs. It's a piece of an investigative puzzle. And when we're all done with this, we're going to be able to meld the 2 of them together. And we're going to find an individual. That's what happened.
So to make things clear, law enforcement believed the exit witness that was most credible was the male who was in his mid-20s. And then in 2019, they switched from the young man being the exit witness to the muddy and bloody witness being the exit witness. You could see here in this article, it says, police issued a new sketch last month showing a male suspect thought to be between 18 and 40 years old. Investigators had previously released a different composite sketch that was based on a previous witness, according to Carter, meaning Doug Carter. So that previous witness, they didn't become a suspect now. That previous witness is no longer considered a witness because they saw someone else. They didn't see Bridge Guy. They likely saw Flannel Shirt Guy. On October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge, that he went onto the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail, and then left. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. He further claimed he saw no one else except for the juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. I find it interesting how this time he doesn't make any mention of being on a phone. I assume it's because he had his phone turned off and they would be able to tell that he wasn't on a stock ticker like he said on February 14th to the conservation officer. Also, this time he mentions that he went out on the bridge to look at fish. So in conclusion, Richard Allen incriminated himself on October 13th, 2022. Then 5 or 6 more times, he admitted to killing Libby and Abby. So it's pretty safe to assume that Richard Allen did kill Liberty German and Abigail Williams on February 13th, 2017. Who is my source? Richard Allen. Thanks for watching, and may justice be served.
Well, there you go, guys. Hey, Fig, it's so good to see you, my dear. So good to see you. Your video is amazing. You did such a wonderful job putting it all together so that it makes sense. And it's, you know, I'm just thankful. Like I said, I'm just at the beginning of the show, I said, I'm just thankful for you being in this community, because we need more critical thinkers, people like you that are able to think, you know, and problem solve. So anyway, hold on one second, because I think I've got some trolls going on in here. Keep an eye out. So yeah, I mean, you know, when you watch that video, he breaks it down pretty well, and he gives us a really good insight for what the writing on the wall is, so to speak. Fig is amazing. I can't wait to talk to him about this on the channel on Friday. He's going to be on with me, along with the captain of True Crime Garage and Skip Jansen. So we will have a good discussion. And now that we have this video that puts things together, it's going to be really great to kind of talk about that. I also, again, want to just reiterate for everybody, please make sure to check out Ruckus, as I said, because he breaks down everything that was said about how mistreated or the treatment of Richard Allen at Westville Correctional is not up to par or according to the standards of what it should be. And he completely disagrees. And as an expert who worked in the prisons, who has that law enforcement background, he knows his stuff. And he firmly and absolutely believes that that is incorrect, and that he's being treated no differently than anyone else. In fact, he's actually being treated better than others. He broke an iPad or a tablet and was given another one. That wouldn't usually happen with another inmate, some other type of inmate. So, you know, we have to stop and listen to people who make sense. I've always tried to keep an open mind with no matter what it is that I'm dealing with. But when I'm looking at a true crime case, you have to go into it with a complete and utter unbiased, open mind. And that's the way I've always looked at this case. Now, did I get sucked down some rabbit holes over the last 6 years? I sure did. Just like everybody else. I am no different than anybody else when it comes to that. But once I saw the writing on the wall, so to speak, or the facts start to come out, did I stay down those rabbit holes? Absolutely not. And I've said it again, and I'm going to many times on this channel, and I'm going to say it again tonight. I will never be a person who covers a case that picks out a POI and goes and dies on a hill for that POI if there's not facts to back it up. when you have facts that can back up what you're saying, that's important. When you just throw stuff out to see if it sticks on the wall, that I don't agree with that. And there's nothing wrong with speculating, as long as you make it absolutely clear that that's what you're doing, is that you're speculating and that you are not saying this as a true fact. Because, you know, opinions are a dime a dozen. It doesn't matter what any of us think or what any of us believe. What's going to absolutely matter is the 12 jurors that are going to sit and hear this case, plus the alternates. Those are the people that are going to matter in this case, not us. Because none of us have all of the facts. None of us have all of the evidence. And it's so easy to look at this case narrowly and get this narrow-minded kind of focus on it, because it's been all over the place. I mean, we have had so many different narratives over the years. None of them coming from law enforcement, in my opinion. Law enforcement has been pretty quiet when it comes to this case. So, you know, it's like, I really feel like people lose sight again of what this case is all about. And it's about two girls, two beautiful girls who were brutally murdered and taken away from their families for no reason at all. And Frank Meister, I saw your comment about all we now need is motive. And I agree with you. I would love to know what the motive is, but I'm also realistic in thinking we may never know. Sometimes we just don't know why these offenders and these types of individuals do what they do. There were a lot of reasons why people looked at so many different so-called persons of interest. Thank you, Thistle. People who live on the internet and just throw out things and they don't even stop to think about the family members and what they're saying and how that might hurt. I have no use for those people. I just don't. And I agree with Stephanie. There are things in this case that we're not entitled to know. We don't need to know how the girls were killed. We don't need to know all of those gory, detailed facts, those horrific facts. So, I mean, this whole mindset of it's our right and we have a right. We don't have a right. We don't have a right. We'll get to know on a need to know basis. And since the fact that we are dealing with underage children here is a completely different ballgame than if we were dealing with adults. And anybody that really thought that the document release was going to bring forth any real information doesn't really understand what a gag order is. And they're not going to release any documents that are going to give up evidence or anything like that at this stage of the game. That's why they put a gag order on this case. So it doesn't surprise me that the only thing that's going to be released are motions and so forth. I just don't see it being any more than that. And, you know, I've said all along that I don't feel that I don't even know how I might react hearing what he did to those girls. Just the fact of the terror that Abby and Libby had to have felt that day is enough for me. I can't even fathom what that's like. None of us can, unless you've ever been in that position. It's it's really mind-boggling to me how we get where we are today in this case. It just is, because it's just crazy. Happy birthday, Jerry. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. I'm glad that you chose to spend it with us tonight. As you well know, we love having you here, and you are a welcome to my channel. So I appreciate you very much. Hello, Robin. Good evening to see you too. And thank you so much for your kind words. I try to have informational and educational content on any of the cases that I cover. And the fact that you're listening from Indiana, I thank you so very much for being here. Justice Angel, you are absolutely correct. The first place law enforcement's going to look at is the last person that saw Abby and Libby, and that would have been Kelsey. And they would have looked at her hard, because that's what they do. And they have to look at them. They look at the family members, and then they go out and they branch out from there. And if you talk to any of our detectives that are friends of our channel, whether it be Steve from True Crime Web, or Perry from Faxx, or Ruckus, or CD, if you talk to any of these people that actually work in law enforcement and actually do the job, they're going to tell you that these people were all looked at early on, and they were all vetted by the FBI early in this case. So, you know, it's kind of what happens. But what else was I going to say about this? Hey, True Crime Housewife, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. So when Ruckus was talking about his treatment and stuff like that, and he was talking about, I mean, he did so well, because he did his live stream actually shows pictures of what his cell would look like. He showed pictures of the pods. He showed pictures of what type of cell Richard Allen would be in, how he would receive his meals through a slit in the door. I mean, just all kinds of, it was just a really, really good informational live stream. And it shows that, yes, this person is pre-trial. This person has not been convicted of any crime. Ruckus said at the end of his live, move him. Get him the heck out of Westville. If you don't want him there, and it's very obvious that his attorneys don't want him there, then move him. For God's sakes, just move him. But at the same time, can they protect him in the county facility? Now, Cass County had the sheriff was there on Thursday in court and testified and said that that they were very capable of housing him, but not able to transport him back and forth to court. And what I don't think a lot of people understand is all of this stuff that's happening, whether it be transferring him to court, all the things that are going on. Somebody's paying for this, you guys. Carroll County is paying for this. Carroll County doesn't have this kind of money, but they do have $30,000 or more to spend to suppress the 911 call in the Flora case, which absolutely pisses me off. I mean, they'll fight to the Supreme Court to keep that 911 call under wraps, yet they're willing to go out and just fork out all this money for all this other stuff for Richard Allen. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I think that his lawyer, I so absolutely feel like Fig said, and the judge said, I mean, this was said in the court, not the judge. I apologize. The warden. Once Richard Allen saw the discovery coming out from prosecutors and they gave him his file, is when he started to deteriorate. It is when he realized, holy crap, they've got me. That's why we're looking at this man in the physical and emotional state that he's in. And I'm sorry, but after you've committed this kind of crime, somebody said he's feeling remorse. No, he's not. If you guys honestly believe that this man is feeling remorse, I don't know how you can. He was living a normal life until October 13th, 2022. He was going to work every day at the CVS. He was waiting on customers. He was filling prescriptions and handing them out. He was waiting on family members. He was waiting on Tobe Lesenby probably. He was, seeing everybody in that community every single day. He was going to the local pool hall and playing pool multiple times a week. He went on vacation. His daughter got married. He was very active in that wedding. I mean, he did so many things. This man was not remorseful. He wasn't thinking about what he had done. He's only upset now because he got caught. And it's like Rekha said, he's seen this a million times with defendants. They look and act like a victim, and they're looking for sympathy. And it's the only way his attorneys can get the public to start sympathizing with this guy. I mean, stop and think about it. If this man is guilty, if he truly is guilty, which I believe he is, you're going to sit here and defend him? Makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense to me at all. And as far as being blind to the evil in front of them, David, I totally get what you're saying. But again, these types of individuals are so good at living double lives that the people around them don't have any idea of that. So, I mean, there's just a lot, like I said, a lot to look at when you look at this case and you look at him and how he was living his life and what he was doing on a daily basis, and especially after the murders. So, he's supposedly already confessed 5 to 6 times. So, hey, Tech Death, how are you? He's already confessed. It's going to depend on a lot of things, what happens now. It's going to depend on whether or not they absolutely end up at trial. If they still are going to try to defend him and defend his case, then we'll end up in trial and 12 jurors will go over everything. And the fact that he has confessed to multiple professionals at the Westville Correctional Center, as well as his wife. So I see a blankness in this man's eyes that I have seen since day one. And I don't think that it's changed. In fact, I think if there's anything else, it's darker. It's just a dark, emptiness in his eyes. And I do believe he's defeated. I believe this man has completely given up. And it's just like when I was talking to you on Saturday night about these people, these suspects. If they choose not to eat in jail, there's not a doggone thing that the jail people can do about it other than monitor him. They can't force feed him. They can't intervene that way. In Indiana, they can't even force meds. They do not have a forced med protocol in the state of Indiana. Instead, they have to go to court to get a court order to be able to force them. And it's hard for us to wrap our minds around how another human being can do something so utterly horrific and yet seem normal by going to work and doing the daily stride of a normal person, when we know doggone well they can't be very normal because of what they did. So it's we have a lot to pay attention to. There's obviously going to be a lot happening. There will be a lot more motions in this case. There's going to be a lot more arguments in this case. Does Richard Allen finally give up and say, I want a plea deal? Does the prosecution say, too bad, so sad, we're not taking a deal? We're not giving you a deal? We don't know. A lot of that will depend on what the families want the prosecution to do, and guaranteed they will have conversations with both the Williams family as well as Libby's family to find out what they want to see happen to this defendant. And it's going to be a long 6 months, 7 months, because there's going to be a lot going on. And a lot of people don't want to hear what we have to say when we talk about the facts of this case. They just don't, because they're still on those POIs and their theories. Their theory is all that matters to them, and their theory about being right. And I've always said, I don't care about being right. I care that the right person is arrested, convicted, and sentenced. So I'm like, I don't know. like I said, Fig gave us a lot to think about. And when I was looking and listening to that video, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it probably a couple more times because I know I missed stuff. I'm just like, what is the, what's the deal? I told him there was going to be a lot of fallout, rumblings, that his video will cause some rumblings. And I know it will, because there's people out there that will refuse to believe the truth and the facts of the case. I told True Crime Maria that a year ago. I said, when we get an arrest in this case, wait. And you think it's a nightmare and a circus now, just wait. And it's not let us down. Trust me, it has not let us down. So moving right along, you guys, tonight I also wanted to talk to you about a case that happened last Thursday in Ohio. And this case is so chilling and so horrific. I just, when the body cam video footage came out on my Twitter and I watched it, I sat and cried. I just cried. It just affected me so much. But I'm talking about the Chad Doreman case. If you have not heard of Chad Doreman, I'm going to introduce you to another monster that is unbelievable. Chad Doreman is a 32-year-old man who was married and had 3 young sons and a stepdaughter, a 15, 16-year-old stepdaughter. So let's talk about who this person is. He was arrested on Thursday after he allegedly gunned down his 3 young sons in his front yard. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I was looking for something. His stepdaughter went running down the street to the firehouse, which was just down the street from them, and screaming. She was screaming at the top of her lungs that her father was killing everyone in the house. He lined his 3 young sons up in the front yard and took a rifle and shot them dead. I'm just, hang on a second, guys. Oops. Sorry. Alexis, his daughter, was absolutely terrified. He shot the boy's mother in the hand as his wife. She was trying to stop him, and he shot her. He's been charged with aggravated murder over this whole thing that unfolded in the Monroe Township home on Thursday afternoon. And they say he has no history of mental illness or strange behavior and no criminal record. However, interviews with his neighbors said that he was abusive both to his wife and absolutely to his children. He was yelling and abusive to them. And he was charged with domestic violence in 2010 for choking his own father. His father said that happened to be a misunderstanding was all. Hey, Ann, thank you so much. Welcome to the doors. Thank you so much. So when police arrived, Chad was sitting on the front porch of the home with the rifle laid next to him, and his 3 young sons were laid dead in the front yard. One of the boys ran and tried to get away from him, and Chad chased him down in a field and brought him back to stand with his brothers, and then he shot them all. I have no words, you guys, of how horrific this is. The body cam footage, you can hear their mother screaming that he has taken her life. Everything. He's taken everything from her. When the officer grabs him and gets him down on the ground to handcuff him, he's telling them in a very calm, collected voice, you don't have to be afraid of me. I'm not going to do anything. I mean, it was just incredible to watch this. This guy had no emotion after what he had just done. Now, his father says that he just snapped because he was there last week and saw his son the week before this happened, and he was fine. He was joking and everything was fine. I've never seen anything like this. The prosecutor in the county said he's been prosecuting for 35 years. This is the worst crime he has ever encountered. And the first responders, the police officers, everyone involved is going to need counseling for what they saw on that grass on that front yard that Thursday afternoon. His dad is saying that he probably had something going on in his life that he couldn't handle anymore. They're not allowing his father to talk to him. So he said he doesn't have any answers. But from everything I saw, the day they arrested him, it was unbelievable how cold and evil this man looked. And then when he appeared in court to be arraigned, he busts down crying and just stood there and cried and cried and cried. And it was just like, are you kidding me? I want to show you a picture of the boys. They were 3, 4, and 7 years old. And they were just beautiful little boys. Oops. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Search. I don't know why I'm not having a whole lot of luck here, but I'm going to show it to you this way. Here's a picture of the 3 children, the 3 little boys. This is the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old, and the 7-year-old. I am, like I said, unbelievably just shaken by this case. When I heard it, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And to be taken by your own father who is supposed to love and protect and care for you, and then to be shot in such an execution style manner, standing them up in the yard. I mean, I just can't even imagine. And he did confess that he did it. I mean, he told law enforcement what he did. And his daughter, his stepdaughter, and his wife saw it. So no history of mental illness. And crazy. I wanted to share with you guys tonight, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation issued a missing Indigenous persons alert for a South Dakota woman who vanished on June 11th. According to the CBS News, 32-year-old Christine Tail was last seen at around 7 p.m. on June the 11th, and it was her first night in Denver. According to the Denver Police Department, she was last seen close to the 1400 block of Champa Street. She is described as standing 5 feet tall, weighing 120 pounds. She has brown hair, brown eyes, and is said to be from the Ogallala Sioux tribe, and that is out of Nebraska. She was last seen wearing a white shirt, blue shorts, and white tennis shoes. And if seen, please call the Denver Police Department at 720-913-3200 or 911. And this is a copy of her missing person poster. And so this is a picture of her here. There we go. She's from South Dakota. She went missing on her very first night in Denver, which is just not good. Yes, they have a GoFundMe set up for the Dorman family to help her sister set it up so that they could help her bury her children. So, so the next story that I wanted to tell you about was we were talking about Harmony Montgomery a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted you guys to know that they did release an affidavit in Harmony's case against Adam. And it says in that affidavit the disturbing details in Harmony's death investigation. Adam Montgomery is accused of punching his 5-year-old daughter in the face and head. She was in the back seat of the car, and they were living in the car. She had been having trouble with her bathroom situation. Obviously, living in a car, what little 5-year-old wouldn't? And she kept having accidents. And he reached around and hit her smack dab in the face multiple times. And they believe that this happened on December 7th, 2019. And according to a statement from Kayla Montgomery, Adam's wife and Harmony's stepmother, he said he thinks that he really hurt her this time. I really think I did something. Channel 9 News filed a motion to unseal this affidavit, which the judge granted with the caveat that it be unsealed 10 days after Adam Montgomery's weapons trial. The 48-page document draws heavily on interviews with Adam Montgomery's estranged wife, Kayla, who testified at his weapons trial, Harmony's stepmom. And the affidavit said that Kayla Montgomery admitted to lying in her grand jury testimony, in which she said that she had last seen Harmony 2 days before Thanksgiving in 2019. In a later interview with police, Kayla said she and Adam, along with Harmony and 2 other children, were living in their car after they were evicted from their home on Guilford Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. She said that on December the 7th, their car broke down. December 7th, 2019, their car broke down, and it was on that day that Adam Montgomery allegedly struck Harmony and killed her. Kayla said her husband repeatedly became angry with Harmony because she wasn't saying when she had to go to the bathroom, and she kept having accidents in their car. After each accident, Adam would get angrier and angrier and allegedly punched Harmony in the face and about the head. They were on their way to the fast food restaurant when this happened. Kayla said that Adam told her he felt or heard something when he hit Harmony and thought he had really hurt her this time. Kayla told police that Harmony began making a moaning noise for about 5 minutes, and then she just stopped. At no time did anyone stop or get Harmony help or medical attention at the result of this assault. Police say that Kayla told them the family went to the restaurant and returned to the Manchester apartment complex parking lot where they were staying in their car. They stayed for about 20 minutes, and Kayla Montgomery said no one checked on Harmony, according to the affidavit. Kayla said the family then left the parking lot and the car broke down. And shortly after that, at that time is when Kayla and Adam allegedly discovered that Harmony was dead. According to the affidavit, Kayla said Adam put Harmony's body in a duffel bag, and a friend of the family let them stay in his car for 2 days. And Kayla said her husband allegedly would keep Harmony's body in the bag in the trunk or put the bag out in the snow to slow decomposition. And that started a month-long project of moving Harmony's body to various locations within Manchester. Her body was allegedly kept in a cooler in a common hallway of the building where Kayla Montgomery's mother lived. It was then in a storage bin transported by stroller to a family's in transition apartment, where it was wrapped in a trash bag and hidden in a ceiling vent until neighbors complained about the smell. Detectives accessed the ceiling last summer, and the entire ceiling grid was removed for DNA testing. Families in transition released a written statement confirming that Adam and Kayla, along with their 2 boys, lived in an emergency housing from December 30th of 2019 to February 20th of 2020. When we were first contacted by law enforcement about this case, we immediately joined efforts to cooperate in the investigation. The organization said in the statement, "We will continue to do everything we can to support the search for answers." The affidavit goes on to say that Harmony's body was moved to a maternity bag and taken to a walk-in freezer at the now closed Manchester restaurant, Portland Pie Company, where Adam Montgomery worked as a dishwasher. The family later moved into a Union Street apartment that was searched last summer. There, nearly 3 months after Harmony's death, Adam spent 4 to 6 hours in the bathroom trying to reduce Harmony's body using lime and brute force, according to the affidavit. Investigators said in the affidavit that Adam and Kayla worked together to squeeze Harmony back into the maternity bag and put her in the freezer. Kayla said that Adam used a U-Haul to take the remains somewhere in the spring of 2020 and he deliberately didn't tell her where he was going in case there was an investigation. Detectives traced the U-Haul to the Tobin Bridge in Massachusetts using toll data, triggering a search at a marsh in Revere. Harmony's body has never been recovered. Adam Montgomery's defense attorneys wanted the affidavit to remain under seal, and she argued in court that investigators' findings should not become part of the public domain before the trial. News 9 reached out to her today for comment, and she did not comment back. Police said that Harmony disappeared in 2019, but officials did not become aware of her disappearance until 2021, 2 years later. In December of 2021, Harmony was issued as a missing person, and in August of 2022, the New Hampshire Attorney General's office declared Harmony a victim of homicide. In October of 2022, Adam Montgomery was charged with second-degree murder in her death. And he is awaiting trial. And for those of you that aren't familiar with her case, this is a picture of little Harmony. What a darling, darling little girl. She didn't deserve what happened to her. None of them do. None of these children deserve this. It's just, and it's case after case after case. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of these people killing the children. I just so am. Another thing I wanted to update you guys on is the Stephen Smith trial, or the Stephen Smith case. We have been covering that case since last fall after the Alex Murdaugh trial. I wanted to let you know that a grand jury has been impaneled as part of the investigation into Stephen Smith's death, months after renewed attention was focused on the case in the wake of Alex Murdaugh's trial. Smith was 19 when he was found deceased along a rural road in Hampton County, South Carolina. Despite the initial reports that he was killed in a hit and run, investigative documents reviewed by many in the judicial system reveals that his injuries were inconsistent with being hit by a car, and that first responders on the scene actually believed that Smith had been the victim of a shooting. In May, Eric Bland, the attorney that was representing Stephen Smith's mother, Sandy, said that the investigation into the case had been moving forward and that warrants and subpoenas were being issued in the case. At the time, Bland said that investigators had been in contact with the South Carolina Attorney General and that he believed a grand jury would be impaneled in the very near future. And Bland has confirmed on television on Tuesday that a grand jury has been impaneled in this case. The investigation into Smith's death was reopened after the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, said that it uncovered evidence during the investigation into the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh. Alex Murdaugh was convicted of killing his wife and son and is serving a life sentence. Investigators have not said what the evidence is or how the two cases may be linked. Smith was known to be an acquaintance of Alex Murdaugh's son Buster, and Buster has denied any involvement in Stephen Smith's death. That's weird. Hold on. And here's just another wonderful story. I'm waiting for it to pop up. Hold on. Sorry. So you guys may or may not have heard of this story. I did post about her missing, Sequoia Samuels from Memphis, Tennessee. She was a 4-year-old little girl who was reported missing by her mother. And so they found out after a day-long search for the little girl that she had been dead for several weeks, according to a police affidavit. The remains believed to be those of Sequoia Samuels were found late Thursday near the apartment where she lived. Memphis police said in a statement her mother had reported her missing that morning, saying she had woken up to find her front door open and her child gone. A police affidavit filed on Friday said that Brittany Jackson lied when she made the initial call about her daughter, news outlets reported. Jackson later told investigators that her boyfriend, Jalen Hobson, had physically attacked the little girl until she became unresponsive and couldn't be revived. The girl's body was then placed in several trash bags and stored inside the residence until it was moved to a trash can the morning police were called. Jackson, 24, is charged with aggravated child neglect, abuse of a corpse, and filing a false offense report. Memphis police said Hobson, 21, has been charged with filing a false offense report. Hobson has denied involvement in Samuel's death when he talked with police. Hobson stated that he last saw Samuels last Sunday on June 11th, which is impossible due to the advanced state of decomposition of the human remains believed to be that of Samuels. Police say they are continuing to investigate and ask that anyone with any additional information to please come forward. And this is a picture of baby Sequoia. Another child that just was thrown away. Right here. Such a cutie. I just don't understand, you guys. It's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling, I tell you. A Texas mom has been locked up after letting her boyfriend beat her toddler to death for putting shoes on the wrong feet days before her little girl's 3rd birthday. Ashley Marie McAlpine and Jaden Nunez have been charged. A 31-year-old Texas woman will spend more than a decade behind bars for failing to stop her former boyfriend from physically abusing her 2-year-old daughter, who was ultimately beaten to death just 2 days before her 3rd birthday in 2019 for putting her shoes on the wrong feet. A judge in Bell County on June 7th ordered Ashley Marie McAlpine to serve 16 years in a state correctional facility with credit for 903 days time served for not contacting authorities or taking any steps to protect young Shanna Leilani McAlpine from her boyfriend, Jaden Nunez. McAlpine in March pleaded guilty before Judge Wade Faulkner to 1 count of first-degree felony injury to a child in connection with her daughter's death. Following a 3-day trial in October of 2021, McAlpine's then-boyfriend, Jaden Nunez, was convicted on 1 count of capital murder of a child under the age of 10. He was subsequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Officers with the Temple Police Department and Emergency Medical Services personnel responded to the home located in the 800 block of South 11th Street at approximately 2:50 a.m. on September 22nd, 2019, after receiving a call about an unresponsive child. Upon arriving at the scene, the first responders found the child, later identified as Shanna, unconscious and not breathing. The victim was reportedly covered in bruises. Detectives with the Temple Police Department's Criminal Investigations Unit said they soon learned that Nunez committed the murder after he became upset with the child over her shoes. According to a report from the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, previously obtained by the Killeen Daily Herald, McAlpine told investigators that the family was preparing to go to the store to purchase items in preparation for Shanna's birthday party when Nunez lashed out at the little girl. The girl had her shoes on the wrong feet, and Nunez then hit her in the face. She fell, and Nunez grabbed her and held her up in the air before he punched her 3 times in her stomach and dropped her to the floor. McAlpine reportedly told investigators that she picked up Shanna after Nunez struck her. The mother brought the toddler out of the room and put her in bed. Nunez allegedly followed them, however, and reportedly choked Shanna with both hands until she turned blue. McAlpine said she yelled and attempted to get Nunez away from Shanna, but couldn't, saying the choking went on for a couple of minutes. When Nunez finally relented, Shanna reportedly gasped for air before curling up into the fetal position. Shanna reportedly woke up crying at approximately 2 a.m. on September 22nd, the day that she died. McAlpine told police the girl complained of stomach pain and was not breathing right. Waco area CBS affiliate KWTX reported that McAlpine said Shanna's stomach was swollen and hot, while the rest of her body felt cold to the touch. She put the girl in the shower but called 911 after seeing that Shanna was unable to stand up on her own, and the child was pronounced dead while at the hospital at about 3:31 a.m. An autopsy reportedly determined that the child's death was a homicide caused by blunt force trauma to her abdomen. Nunez was arrested 2 days later, while McAlpine wasn't charged with the crime until December of 2020. Shanna was set to turn 3 years old on September 24th of 2019. So just a lovely, lovely family out there, and they gave her 10 years. I am absolutely horrified. 10 years. I just don't understand this, you guys. These laws need changed so badly. So badly they need changed. And I wanted to just circle back before I get off here. The judge is supposed to release sealed documents that help put accused child killer behind bars, Richard Allen. And these are certain sealed documents in the Delphi murder case against Richard Allen. According to Fox 59, years before Allen's 2022 arrest, police interviewed him in 2017, shortly after the deaths of Abby Williams, 13, and Liberty German, 14. And the details of the report have been sealed. As Crime Online previously reported, Allen is currently behind bars in connection with the murders of both girls. They were found murdered near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana, after taking an outing to the bridge in February 2017. Court documents indicate that investigators relied on Allen's 2017 interview and an unfired bullet discovered at the murder scene to arrest and charge him. Due to concerns about jeopardizing the investigation, investigators and the prosecution pushed to keep several crucial documents under seal, and several people, including podcaster Kevin Greenlee of the Murder Sheet, subsequently filed a request asking the judge to reconsider. In this case, things were being filed. The defense was not asking for them to be sealed. The prosecution was not requesting them to be sealed, but they were all getting sealed, Greenlee said. And that violates the procedure and actually resulted in a lot of confusion for the public about what's actually going on in this important case. With a search warrant, there is usually a return filed, and a return in a search warrant is basically a list of everything that was taken from the residence in question. So it would be very interesting and informative for the public to see just what evidence was taken from the Allen residence. The public doesn't need to know any of that, though, just so you know. We can wait until the court date to find that out. Gall did say that at some point this week, the documents will be released. And the fundraiser for the three boys in Ohio, hold on a second, is up to $211,157. And this is a picture of the boys and their sister. And I will put this in the chat in case anybody wants to donate. But yeah, that's how you get to the GoFundMe for the three boys. And it's nice to see that people still have caring hearts out there. So, but sweet little kids, just absolutely adorable little boys. So we'll be keeping an eye on that case to see where it goes and what happens to this monster. And hopefully he never sees the light of day again for any reason, shape, or form. But yeah, crazy. But anyway, guys, I really hope that you guys will tune in. I will not be live on Thursday. I will be live on Friday night at 7 Central Standard Time is when I will be live with Fig Solves, the captain from True Crime Garage, and Skip Jansen. They will be my my guests. So I hope that you guys can all tune in. I look forward to that live. It will be wonderful. But it was good to see all of you. I'm really tired. I knew I would be. And so I'm going to hop off of here. But I hope that you guys got some good information tonight. And I also hope that you all will go to Fig's channel. Please give him a like and a share of that video. People need to see it. Oh, CJK, you're more than welcome, my dear. You are more than welcome. The children need support. The people that are supposed to love and protect them are not. And it's just gut-wrenchingly sad. Jerry, I hope you have a fantastic birthday. I hope you were able to do something fun today. Yeah. So good night, everybody, and have a great rest of your evening. I will see you all on Friday.